The containment bay hummed with the sterile efficiency that characterized every corner of the Valorian dawn. But Isabella Chen had never felt more out of place in her own ship. She stood before the reinforced observation window, watching the small figure huddled in the corner of the holding cell, and felt her heart crack just a little more. The Cubnor, more than 5 standard years old by her estimation, had been found drifting in an escape pod 3 cycles ago. No distress beacon, no parent ship in range, just a terrified child floating in the void, waiting to die. Dr. Chen, Commander Oliver Wright's voice crackled through her cum. "I'm outside. Permission to enter." "Granted," Isabella replied, not taking her eyes off the cub. The door hissed open, and Oliver stepped inside, his tall frame seeming to fill the observation room. He'd been her closest friend since their academy days, and she knew that look on his face, concern mixed with the professional detachment of a military officer who'd seen too much. "How's our guest?" he asked, moving to stand beside her. Isabella gestured toward the cell. The cub, covered in the distinctive blue-gray fur of the Kryn species, sat motionless, her large amber eyes tracking every movement outside her prison. She hadn't eaten in 2 days, hadn't made a sound since they'd brought her aboard. Terrified, Isabella said simply, "The medical scans show old injuries, healed fractures, scar tissue. Someone hurt this child, Oliver," repeatedly. Oliver's jaw tightened. The Kryn were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors, their empire built on conquest and strength. They were also known for their brutal, child-rearing practices. Weakness was not tolerated, and discipline was often administered with claws and teeth. "The Galactic Council protocols are clear," Oliver said quietly. "We have to return her to Kryn space. They've already sent a retrieval ship." "In 3 days," Isabella said, her voice hollow. 3 days, and we send her back to whoever did this to her." She'd read the reports. Kryn cubs who showed fear, who flinched, who failed to meet aggression with aggression. They were considered defective. Cold, the word made her sick. "There has to be something we can do," Oliver said, though they both knew there wasn't. Interfering with another species' cultural practices was forbidden. The laws were absolute. Isabella watched as one of the medical staff, young ensign named Torres, approached the cell with a tray of food. The moment the force field lowered, the cub's ears flattened against her skull. When Torres reached out to place the tray inside, the cub scrambled backward, a high-pitched whine escaping her throat. "It's okay, little one," Torres said gently, setting the tray down. "No one's going to hurt you." But the cub didn't believe her. Why would she? In her short life, every hand raised had brought pain. Isabella made her decision then. "I'm going in." "What?" Oliver grabbed her arm. "Isabella, that's against, I know, the regulations," she cut him off. "But I can't just stand here and watch her starve herself to death. Court-martial me if you have to." Before he could protest further, Isabella was through the door and heading for the containment bay. Her heart hammered as she approached the cell. But her hands were steady as she deactivated the force field. The cub's reaction was immediate. She pressed herself against the far wall, her small body trembling, eyes wide with terror. Isabella could see her calculating escape routes, finding none. "Hey there," Isabella said softly, keeping her voice low and non-threatening. She took a single step forward. The cub flinched. Isabella had raised her hand just slightly, an unconscious gesture meant to show she was unarmed. But the cub had seen it as a threat, had anticipated the blow that, in her experience, would inevitably follow. Something inside Isabella shattered. She lowered her hand slowly, then did something that would have horrified any Kryn warrior. She sat down. Right there on the cold metal floor, she crossed her legs and made herself small. Non-threatening, vulnerable. The cub stared at her, confusion replacing some of the fear in her amber eyes. "I'm not going to hurt you," Isabella said. Though she knew the cub probably couldn't understand standard. It didn't matter. Tone mattered. Body language mattered. "I'm just going to sit here. You don't have to come close. You don't have to do anything." Minutes passed. Isabella didn't move, didn't speak. She simply existed in the same space, showing the cub that proximity didn't always mean pain. Slowly, incrementally, the cub's trembling subsided. Her ears, which had been plastered flat against her skull, began to rise slightly. She was still pressed against the wall, but her muscles had relaxed just a fraction. Isabella began to hum an old lullaby her grandmother had sung to her. The melody filled the quiet space, gentle and warm. The cub tilted her head, listening. More time passed. Isabella's legs were going numb, but she didn't shift position. Outside the cell, she could see Oliver watching through the observation window, his expression unreadable. Then, something miraculous happened. The cub moved, just one small step away from the wall. Then another. Her eyes never left Isabella's face, searching for any sign of deception, any hint of the violence she'd learned to expect. Isabella kept humming, kept perfectly still. The cub crept forward until she was close enough to touch. She extended one small, clawed hand toward Isabella's face, then hesitated, waiting for the strike she was sure would come. It didn't. Emboldened, the cub touched Isabella's cheek with one finger. Her eyes widened in wonder. Soft. This strange alien was so soft. Not hard scales or rough fur, but warm and yielding. Isabella smiled, tears streaming down her face. "That's right, sweetheart, gentle. See, no one's going to hurt you here." The cub made a sound, then not the whine of fear, but something else. Something almost like a purr. She climbed into Isabella's lap, curling up against her chest. And for the first time since they'd found her, she closed her eyes. Isabella wrapped her arms around the small body, feeling the rapid heartbeat begin to slow. "I've got you," she whispered. "I've got you." Oliver entered the cell quietly, kneeling beside them. "The council will never approve an adoption request," he said softly. "You know that. Then we'll fight them," Isabella replied, her voice steel. "We'll take it to every court, every tribunal, every governing body in the galaxy if we have to. Humans don't abandon children. We don't care whose children they are." Oliver looked at the cub, sleeping peacefully in Isabella's arms, and smiled. "HFY," he said quietly. "What?" "Something I read once. Humanity, fuck yeah." He stood, offering Isabella his hand. "I'll start drafting the legal briefs. This is going to be one hell of a fight." Isabella took his hand, careful not to disturb the cub. "Good, let them come. They'll learn what it means to stand between a human and a child who needs protecting." The Valorian dawn sailed on through the stars, carrying its precious cargo toward an uncertain future. But in that moment, in that cell, a terrified cub had learned that not all hands brought pain. Some brought comfort, some brought love, and that made all the difference.